Hi, this is Amber.
And this is Lisa.
And you're listening to Unexplained Arkansas, a new podcast that explores urban legends, mysteries, and the unsolved in the natural state.
We're just two best friends discussing the unexplained in Arkansas.
Hello, and welcome to Unexplained Arkansas. This is Amber.
And this is Lisa, and this is our 5th to 6th to 7th try tonight. We are having issues.
I really don't believe in bad luck, but if there was such a thing as bad luck, we had it tonight. We experienced it firsthand.
Yes. I concur deeply.
We started tonight's podcast at Lisa's house, and my computer kept getting kicked off the internet. And then I got back to my house to record, and my microphone wouldn't work. So, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. So, we are here, and we are ready.
And I was just telling Lisa, if we'd had this much issue at the very beginning, there would be no Unexplained Arkansas, because we would both be like, whatever.
We'd be like, this is not working.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
So, we're here. So,
yes,
yay. And
we are here.
Your
and
episode.
everyone listening is like, well, I don't know why they're just acting so floofy, but yeah, it's been a very trying hour and 15 minutes to get this podcast to you people. So please,
that's how long it's taken us. So to just begin, like I didn't even get through paragraph 3. No, you didn't. So
okay, so let's go ahead before it shorts out on us again.
Let's do it.
All right, so today, and I'm afraid to say this because I've said this 5 times today.
Maybe let's say something different.
No, I started it. I got to say it. Today, the bird is the word.
Oh, no.
Maybe it isn't the word. It isn't the word.
Right after she has said that, every time it's been like downhill ever since.
So the bird isn't the word for Unexplained Arkansas. This is our, like she said, our 5th, 6th attempt to record tonight. So 57,000. Yes. So maybe it's bad luck, kind of like the birds. Maybe it's an omen. Yeah. Or maybe it's actually going to be good luck, and this will be our highest listened episode yet. So we'll just see what happens. Okay, so tonight we are going to cover one of the strangest occurrences in Arkansas in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
The night the birds fell from Beebe. And no, it's not the night the lights. What is that? The night the lights went out in Georgia.
And I'm shaking my head because this is not the first time I've heard that.
Well, you thought it was funny the first time I landed that joke the first time. Yes. So instead of the night the lights went out in Georgia, it's the night the birds fell from the sky in Beebe. So there you go.
Yes.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, on the night of December 31st, 2010, so this has been a long time ago, between 4,000 and 5,000 blackbirds fell to the ground in a neighborhood in Beebe, Arkansas. I will never forget that day. It was New Year's Day, and I woke up like every other Arkansan to look at the news and see that thousands of birds had rained from the sky in Beebe, Arkansas. So that was...
Which is very close to where we live.
Very close to where we live, yes. And this made international news. This was a huge story, and we'll take apart all of that later on.
Yeah.
But today we're going to look at the event itself and some similar incidents and some of the myths and symbols behind blackbirds. And we are also going to talk about one of our favorite movies, The Birds.
Ooh, and I have a blackbird thing to discuss too.
Oh, okay, cool. You want to do it now or later?
Did you ever watch Heckle and Jekyll?
Heckle and... Why do I know that? What is Heckle and Jekyll?
Like they were two blackbirds, and they had a cartoon. Like I was super young.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Heckle and Jekyll, and they were like, I want to say on TBS.
That
like
sounds right. Was that like the Yogi Bear crew?
Kind of. I don't know. It was Heckle and Jekyll. So just FYI.
Are we Heckle and Jekyll?
I'm Heckle, you're Jekyll.
I was going to say I wanted to be Heckle.
Nope.
Okay, so
I'm going to heckle you.
Okay, so our story tonight takes place in White County, Arkansas, in Beebe. And this is, of course, in central Arkansas, and it sits at the crossroads of 64 and 167. So it's a really good location. Beebe is about 16 miles south of Searcy, where Lisa and I live, and 30 minutes north of the Little Rock Air Force Base in Jacksonville. It's also a centralized location, which is pretty much ideal for travel to anywhere you want to go. Little Rock, Memphis, wherever. Yeah. It also is the home to a college that I know very well, Arkansas State University at Beebe, which was founded in 1927. And did you know that we're coming up on our 100th anniversary?
I did not know that.
Yes, very exciting stuff.
But I'll say it, if I've said it once, I'll say it again. I fell in love with Daryl at ASU Beebe. So.
See, ASU Beebe's got something for everyone. Lisa met her husband at ASU Beebe.
Way before the birds fell from the sky.
Well, I started going there at 17 when I was a senior in high school, and then periodically would go back for a class or two or whatever to fill in a gap. But
until I
moved in for good as a professor. Yeah, but I love it. It's the best.
You actually lived in the dorms. Like
I did live in the dorms.
Yes.
So, it was fun times. Yeah. Fun times. Okay, so this, of course, is like, 15, well, I guess it'd be about 14 years ago.
Yeah.
So that night, witnesses reported unusually loud noises in the area shortly before the incident. So remember that. Which would be probably fireworks.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Perhaps.
Okay, so a lot of people get confused about migrations and migratory bird fallout. This was probably not a migratory bird fallout because, according to Birdzilla, and yes,
Birdzilla. Are you kidding me?
No, there is a website called Birdzilla. According to Birdzilla, resident or short distance. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about Birdzilla. What that would look like. Sorry, red-winged blackbirds, which is what fell from the sky, have resident or short distant migrations. So. Okay. Even if they were migrating, it wasn't from very far. But there have been migratory bird fallouts. And, these kinds of things, bird fallouts can occur anywhere, however. According to flockingaround.com.
What the flock are you talking about?
No, really. Are we gonna just laugh at every one of my resources today?
Oh, Birdzilla and flocking, whatever. Yes,
flocking around. Flock around and find out, Lisa. Okay,
flocking around the Christmas tree. No, sorry.
Okay, so these fallouts can occur anywhere. There are large numbers of migrant birds that pass in any given area. And if you Google bird fall, you will see that this has happened several times in the last, 10 to 20 years. So this is not unique. However, a lot of them will happen in places near rivers, mountain ranges, things like that. Now, I want to first talk about the difference between a crow and a blackbird, because a lot of people mislabel blackbirds as crows. They were not crows. Crows did not fall from the sky.
I'm pretty sure that Heckle and Jekyll were crows, because...
Okay, so let Birdzilla tell us the difference between crows and blackbirds. According to Birdzilla, from a distance, blackbirds and crows look almost the same, but when you take a closer look, you can see the different physical characteristics of them. One of the best indicators to tell blackbirds from crows is by looking at their tails. When in flight, a crow's tail is fan-shaped in appearance, while blackbirds have relatively long tails that end in a point. So there you go. You learned something new. So if it's a fanned-out tail, it's a crow. If it's a pointy tail, it's a blackbird. Now, the type of blackbirds that fell from the sky in Beebe were red-winged blackbirds. And they usually spend some time in northern North America, but that's only, before it starts to get cold. And when it starts to get cold, then they do migrate a little bit south. So really, there's no telling where these particular blackbirds did come from. Now, according to Blackbirds...
Too bad they couldn't tell us.
They couldn't tell us. Okay, so according to Birdzilla, blackbirds can symbolize death and bad omens, but they also stand for intelligence and magic. Magic. I know how you feel about magic. And they also act as guides.
And jean shorts. Ugh.
So magic, jean shorts. What else do you just like? Oh my goodness. I was playing some Steve Winwood earlier and you acted like you didn't like that either.
That was interesting.
Yes. If you've never listened to Higher Love, that's what.
And your Crystal Gale.
I love Crystal Gale. Okay, so there is a lot of similarities between crows and blackbirds, but they are different birds. Okay. But like I said, blackbird fallouts can occur anywhere. So
for sure the birds that fell in BB were blackbirds and not crows.
Yes, they were
correct?
red. Okay. Yes, they were red-tailed
They
blackbirds.
were red-tailed.
Or I'm sorry, red-winged blackbirds.
Red-winged. Okay.
Red-winged blackbirds.
It sounds like they were confused with their red wings and their blackbird selves. So.
I don't know. But okay, so here's the story. Thousands of red-winged blackbirds in Beebe, Arkansas fell from the sky on New Year's Eve, which is creepy in itself, right?
They fell dead, right? They were all dead.
Well, okay.
Or not dead.
So, that's kind of a weird thing because some of them, yes, were dead on impact. Some of them were flopping around. Oh, that sounds awful, doesn't it? That some of them were just like literally falling around people. So, yeah, it was crazy. So, what people think is that the birds had very poor night vision, naturally, of course, and then they probably got scared by the firecrackers. That's what they think. However, there are still some people that think there could be something else that is going on. But according to an article in Smithsonian Magazine, the Arkansas Game and Fish Statement reported that radar images determined that the first group of approximately 6,000 or 7,000 birds began their exodus at 10:20 p.m. There was another exodus, slightly smaller in number, at 11:21 p.m. So this was dang near midnight. This is crazy. So go ahead.
So, wait a second. What do you mean by exodus? So, where were they leaving from? If they
were migrating this way. You can look at
this way.
Yeah, you can see all that online. And when I was doing my bird research this week,
so they were headed out from wherever they were because they fell from the sky around. You said 4 a.m. Was that correct? Or
no. They started falling at 10:20.
And they started falling at 10:20.
Yes, and then another batch started falling at 11:21.
Oh, I thought the first thing said a.m. I don't know.
Nope. Okay. It was actually in the late night hours. People saw them, and a lot of people woke up to birds everywhere too. Ew. Yes. So the Audubon Society reported that at 10 p.m. residents heard several extremely loud window-shaking noises that were believed to have come from what they called professional-grade fireworks, which no one at the time had permission to do. Yep. Yep. So that's a big part of this. So the blast came from an area near the bird's winter roost. And about 15 minutes later, several folks went outside when they heard the whooshing wings of a blackbird flock flying at its normal fast speed. But, like I said, then things just kind of all went to heck. When the people looked up, instead of the birds being above treetop level, they began falling on the roof, crashing into houses, cars, trees, mailboxes, shrubberies, everything.
Is that your dog that's mad?
That is my neighbor's dog.
Okay. I didn't. Yes. I've never heard Annie be like that.
Annie doesn't talk, or Annie doesn't bark. So yeah,
she doesn't talk either. Huh?
My neighbor's dog is really aggravated right now. Okay. So I don't know why.
That's probably all this blackbird business.
I know. So hopefully our background noise thing will take that right out.
That's funny.
We'll hope so. All right. So interesting fact about blackbirds, though. Blackbirds usually don't fly at night.
Okay.
So apparently the big boom flushed them out of their roost, and they had very poor eyesight, or they have very, very poor eyesight, and they became disoriented.
I will say, so one of the things that we said in one of the many things that we did tonight was we talked about if you're from a different, like we do have, sometimes people do fireworks on New Year's Eve, but they also, I have heard of people shooting guns. Do they think, is there any revelation about what really happened, or do they just have speculative information?
They have speculative information. Gotcha. So what I'm reading now is very speculative. Okay. And, you know, they, like we'll see in a minute, that they never found the culprit. They never found the people actually doing the fireworks or shooting the guns or whatever it was.
Nobody owned up to it.
Nobody owned up. Beebe is now famous for the dead falling blackbirds, but nobody owned it up to it. Yes. Okay, so interesting fact, blackbirds usually don't fly at night. And so that big boom apparently flushed them out of their roost. So that is...
And then caused them to terribly fly and then fall out of the sky.
Yes, yes. So this made international news, and my favorite thing is BBC calling it a flockalypse.
A flockalypse.
A flockalypse. Yes.
This is the BBC, correct?
Yes, they called it a flockalypse.
My goodness.
Yes, and let me tell you why.
Flocking believe it.
But let me tell you why, because in Louisiana, just a few days later, there was another one. But we'll get to that in just a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Maybe more of the same.
So you know a lot about autopsies and things. So they did a necropsy report on the birds. And the report showed trauma primarily to the chest. And
in the birds.
Yes. I mean, literally, there were all these people out there New Year's Day picking up these dead birds all over the neighborhood
to their chest.
Yeah, well, they took them for testing, and 3 independent labs ended up testing the birds. Yeah, so what they found was hemorrhaging in the body cavity, also bruised skulls, blood clots in the brain. Yeah, poor
Good
birds.
Grief.
Yes,
this is awful.
Yeah, it's awful. So it was consistent with crashing into something rather than falling. So that is one of the moments. So what did they crash into? So
themselves.
It could be, maybe. Yeah. So they also ruled out viruses, heavy metals, pesticides, bacteria.
My mind just went to like AC/DC.
No. I mean, that might make them fly the coop as well. I don't know.
Oh, my goodness. Like, I was like, that's where my mind went. Sorry.
Yes. No, heavy metals, like metals, metals that are toxic. So, toxic stuff.
I must be delirious.
It's because we've tried this for 7 times now. So
that's funny.
So in most instances that this happens, such traumatic injuries in wild birds are due to flying into stationary objects. Yeah. So like everybody,
I thought you were going to say a station wagon.
So everybody got into this. I mean, this became such a mystery. According to the American Veterinary Medical Association, who got involved, the conclusion they came to was that it was blunt force trauma.
Blunt force trauma.
Yes, and one of the
chest.
Yes, and they quoted a zoology professor from Clemson as saying there's no question that the exodus of the birds from the roost is visible in the radar display images. The first exodus, like I said, occurred at 10:20, and it contained the 6,000 to 7,000 birds, and then there was another one following at 11:21. So all this birds and exodus, this makes me think of like biblical plagues. But just wait, I've got more plagues coming.
Okay,
so just wait. Okay, so that zoologist states that there was no severe weather over or near the roost, so it wasn't thunder. So if loud noises scare birds like that, why don't we have bird falls every time there's a big thunderstorm? That's one of my questions. Yeah. So this was
very interesting.
It is. So this was such a mystery that the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission actually flew over the Wynwood neighborhood by a helicopter to gauge the scope of what happened. And go ahead.
I want to know where the roost was. Do you know this?
No. This is all speculative. Like I said, they don't know who did it and where they came from. So
but if they had the radar and they could see, then
that's true.
They should be able to say where the roost is.
Well, they didn't. They didn't say where the roost was.
Well, that's just rude.
Yes. Call them. Let them know. All right. So no dead birds were found beyond the initial area of the fallen birds. So the roost must be somewhere in that area. So this is the official report from the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission.
Okay.
It says that results from preliminary testing released today, and by today I mean 2011, said that, so first these were...
So just their investigation took how long?
Oh, yeah. Let's see. You had to ask that. I don't have the date on this one. But it didn't take that long because everybody was talking about this. I think the end of January.
What? So they autopsied all these birds and did all their investigation? This sounds fishy. I mean, birdie.
I'll find out a date. A date. So, results from preliminary testing released today by the Arkansas Livestock and Poultry Commission Veterinary Diagnostic Lab, boy, that's a mouthful, show that red-winged blackbirds died from massive trauma on New Year's Eve. The trauma was primarily in breast tissue, with blood clots in the body cavity and internal bleeding. All major organs were normal, and the birds appeared to be healthy. Gizzards and stomachs of the birds were empty. According to the report, further tests will be done to rule out other causes, but the birds suffered from acute physical trauma leading to internal hemorrhage and death. There was no sign of any chronic or infectious disease. So, it's not apparent what caused the birds' unusual behavior, although loud noises were reported shortly before the birds began to fall from the sky. Blackbirds have poor night vision and do not typically fly at night. And then they go on to say that beginning at 11:30 p.m., December 31st, so this is actually, this is a little bit after the time that the article reported, Arkansas Game and Fish Commission wildlife officers received reports of blackbirds falling from the sky in a square-mile area of Beebe. It's estimated that up to 5,000 birds fell before midnight. Most of the birds were dead, but some were alive when officers arrived. Oh, that's awful. Ugh.
When officers arrived on the scene.
Yes. There was not a struggle.
I think you need to put in some, like, what is it from, what's that show?
Law and Order.
Law and Order.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right
so
there.
Audubon Society is going with the whole professional grade fireworks being the culprit here. And the Game and Fish Commission say that is a strong working hypothesis.
That someone was having a heck of a party.
Yeah.
And a heck of a light show.
So at the time they did an impromptu and temporary ban on fireworks in Beebe. So I would think so.
Well,
yeah.
Well, we had discussed that in one of our earlier trials of this show, people, that you will, maybe we need to give them the outtakes. But anyway, the outtakes. But remember, we were talking about in the city limits of Searcy, you are not allowed to shoot fireworks but I will say, I do remember that the city of Searcy and probably at Harding, I believe they were doing fireworks on New Year's Eve that year.
Yeah.
Now, could it have come from that? I mean, is that close? We're very close to Beebe. Are we the problem?
Could be, but I don't know.
Or what, down in Little Rock, I don't know how far away these birds were, but they typically shoot a huge display of fireworks on the river.
Yeah, but my question is, why doesn't this happen more often? Because Arkansas, we're some fireworks loving people down here.
But hey, we do. But if you think about it, what you said earlier, that these birds typically hang out in the north. They're not around during our really high season of fireworks, which is, of course, July.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We just probably scared the life out of them. Yeah, literally.
Maybe.
We're
here to solve these unexplained issues, people.
Yes.
Because I have a PhD in Google.
Yes.
No. And the PH stands for nothing. Sorry.
So the Smithsonian will, I mean, they will kind of go out on a limb here and say that, or they do go out on a limb and say that we may never know what exactly scared the birds.
Sure.
But no one is owning up to it.
Yeah.
And, there were reports of loud noises, so that's what they have to go on. Did they find a roost? Not to my knowledge. And, one thing that was interesting, the Smithsonian quoted Gary Graves, a curator of birds, and he said, it's probably never going to be solved. You can't go back in time and recreate the event, and no one was there recording the event as it happened. And then, this is me talking, apparently nobody's going to fess up to doing fireworks that night. Yeah.
I'll just go ahead and throw the city of Searcy under the bus there.
I don't even remember that. I don't remember.
We did. So I think it was, no, I'm thinking wrong. It was 4th of July. I remember walking out. I don't think it was New Year's Eve. I don't think we've ever had a city display for New Year's Eve. I think individuals that are outside city limits just do their thing.
Well, don't ask me. I never leave my house on New Year's Eve. Yeah. So I usually stay home and hide.
Well, yeah. I think it's just in Little Rock that they actually do New Year's Eve fireworks on the river.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, I guarantee you someone saved some pretty pricey fireworks for 4th of July and decided they're just going to light them up because it's New Year's Eve.
I like your voice for them.
Well, we will never know.
Cute.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, but if you know, you need to call us about it. Tell us
if you know who did it, call us. That would be the scoop of the century if we found out who scared the blackbirds out of their roost. Yeah. And made them rain down from the sky.
I mean, all of this really sounds alleged. Alleged roost, alleged sounds, alleged blackbirds.
But the answer...
Oh, wait, they were autopsies.
Well, but the answer is more comforting than a bunch of birds mysteriously fell from the sky. The end is near, right?
Well, we were all... I mean, I was a little hesitant. I was like, oh... I mean, everybody's been calling for the end of, the Earth and the second coming since... Remember Y2K? That was a really... sensitive time. Everyone thought that the computers weren't going to work. I was hanging out in Washington D.C. for that New Year's Eve, remember? So
yeah, I do.
I was with Corb.
Well, I will say if something like this had happened in 1999, we would it would have been catastrophic. But honestly, if something like that had happened in 2020 or 2021,
oh goodness,
then people really would think that the world was ending because there was so much craziness going on. So, but here's something that's really crazy. Speaking of which, while we were coping with all this in Arkansas, there was actually another blackbird fall that happened in Louisiana. This one happened a few days later on January 4th, 2011. And this time...
They got our sloppy second.
Well, they may have because only 500 fell in Louisiana.
Yep. Just the sloppy leftovers.
Yes, and according to I think this is CNN, but according to them, their tiny little corpses littered a short stretch of highway near the city.
Tiny little corpse.
I swear that's quote unquote. Their
That
tiny
is
little
horrible.
corpses littered a short stretch of highway near the city of LaBar. You're gonna have to ask Daryl how to pronounce that. LaBar.
Oh, no,
I don't know, something. I'm trying to say it in a Louisiana accent. LaBar.
Okay.
Anyway, her husband's from Louisiana.
Use your other accent. Well, I think we just need to go out and
shoot them fireworks left over from July 4th. Okay.
We are laughing, guys, but we in no way really seriously think about these little baby corpses of these birds being funny.
Yes. Way to really stick that in there. Way to stick that in there right now. No.
It is a little.
Okay.
No, we do not condone
We
such.
don't want any animals to suffer. So PETA, please don't. We're not
horrible.
laughing about the birds. We're laughing about the people.
The name given to the situation.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
The little corpses.
So yes. So that is spooky. That something like that, like Louisiana had a bird die off just a few days after Arkansas did. So now,
quote unquote sloppy seconds now.
Yes, yes.
Quote unquote Lisa.
Yes.
Unexplained
So
Arkansas.
Residents reported in Beebe, residents reported that this was a sight to see.
Oh.
Yes, and in Louisiana too.
I bet.
Yes, according to the same article, I love this writer. I need to find out who this writer is because they're awesome. They say residents there had reported stumbling upon the bodies, littering the ground, and even being hit by them as they fell. This is in Beebe. One woman said she was struck walking a dog. Another avian corpse bounced off a police car. Now, this was supposedly... this was the Arkansas one. That is
truly Hitchcock-esque.
It is. It definitely is.
Like, can you imagine? Like,
yeah.
No. I mean, I don't even mind birds, but that's gross.
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, I don't like anything to suffer. I really don't. It's just the fact that people just went so nuts over this, and it was probably some goofy dude, shooting off last year's fireworks that did all this.
Threw the goofy dude under the bus as well.
He's out there somewhere and he's staying real quiet.
He is laughing.
Yeah. Okay, so so this is something that is really spooky, okay?
Okay.
Around the same time, like just a couple of days before this big bird die-off, there was a fish kill. Now, do you know what a fish kill is?
Is that kind of the equivalent of this bird fall? Like where several fish just die and float to the top of like a pond or whatever? Yes.
So Arkansas reported just a couple days before the bird fall that 80,000 drumfish had suddenly died in the state's Arkansas River about 100 miles west of Beebe.
Now that is creepy. You have the birds and the fish.
The birds and the fish. Yeah. So that's when I start thinking, what is happening here? Yeah. Yeah. So their little bodies floated in the river and
their little corpses.
Okay, sorry. So they floated up and washed up on their sides and died at roughly the same time. So it was like all these fish died at the same time. 80,000 of them.
Ew. And what day was this?
This happened. This was just a couple of days before. And it was December 29th. So wait a minute. It was 2 days before.
2 days before. Okay.
And they really don't know what happened there. So this mass kill occurred I guess 1 or 2 days before the thousands of blackbirds dropped from the sky.
Did they conduct little tiny autopsies?
Yes, I think
like they did with the bird.
Well, I don't know. Here is a report from the Game and Fish Commission.
Okay.
And this one is also dated, and I found the date to the other. They were both dated January 26th because people were going nuts. They really were. They're like, what is happening? So
they were on top of this investigation.
Because it was all over the international news. So according to Game and Fish Commission on January 26, 2011, despite a battery of tests conducted by the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, the exact cause of the Arkansas River fish kill that took place on December 29th, 2010 still eludes biologists at the Game and Fish Commission. Now that's scary. That is scary. A resident of Roseville first reported the fish kill near the Roseville boat ramp of the Arkansas River. After further investigation, biologists determined the kill stretched from the Ozark Jetta Taylor Lock and Dam to about 17 miles downstream. The incident killed approximately 83,000 freshwater drum and 1,000 other fish, including yellow bass, white bass, bluegill, and sugar, I don't know what that is. Fish kills are not that uncommon, though, but kills of this magnitude in Arkansas are rare. Now, that's crazy. And again,
Did they get a second opinion?
Yes. Biologists collected several dying fish during the first few days of the kill and sent them to researchers at University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. And then the pathologist, the AGFC fish pathologist, which I didn't know there was such a thing. Didn't know you could be a fish pathologist, but you can be. All right, so she says we can say conclusively that the drum were not killed from a bacterial or viral infection or from parasites. But they don't know what killed them. Everything came back negative.
So they were scared. But no, what I'm saying is, did they send these fish to a different state for further testing.
I don't know.
I'm not saying that we necessarily need to, but I feel like maybe they, U of A at Pine Bluff may not have seen all of the fish in the United States that had this situation, and I would want a second opinion.
Yeah.
Well, if it was my fish.
Well, I will tell you that the Arkansas Department of Environmental Quality also collected fish samples and water samples from the area and conducted testing. So another Arkansas RAND department did collect it. The water,
but did they send it to FEMA?
I don't know. So the Arkansas Department of Environmental Quality also collected fish and water samples from the area of the kill and conducted testing. Water samples were also tested for metals, nutrients, and minerals, and the water quality was assessed. Fish samples were also tested for metals. A drum sample was tested for toxins such as pesticides and other organic chemicals. All samples, this is what's so crazy, all samples were within normal range. So that's not what killed them. And let me say again, 80,000 of them. So that's a lot.
That's a lot. That is a lot of fish.
Yeah. So the Game and Fish Commission
Is this consequently, was there some type of, McFish special going on?
I don't know. I have no idea.
It's a conspiracy, people.
There is something. But Game and Fish did say that there are both natural and unnatural causes that can cause a fish kill. Stress, starvation, water quality issues, water pollution, disease, parasites, toxic algae, severe or extreme weather. All these things can cause the death of multiple fish. But, this is a lot of fish. Now, unfortunately, AGFC said that they will probably never know exactly what happened. And I tried to see if anything further has been said, and it hasn't. It's just kind of sat there for the last, however many years, 13 years.
It's floundered.
Oh, my gosh.
Sorry.
We are exhausted.
Did you like that?
No. Okay, so a year later, so fast forward to a year later.
A year after this incident.
We're back to Beebe.
Okay.
A year later, January 1st, 2012, dozens more blackbirds were found again, and they had fallen from the sky in the town of Beebe.
Oh, goodness.
Yes.
So it's a Beebe epidemic. Problem in that time frame.
This is the theory for the second bird fall.
Okay.
The theory for the second bird fall is that somebody went and found their nest and set off fireworks. That's the theory. But
probably that same person that caused the first round.
Who knows? But
they're like, ooh.
Yeah. So animal care and control were called out at 7 p.m. And, it's just kind of like the same thing. And basically, everyone was like, it's happening again, right? So a year later, same thing. However, like I said, what they think happened this time, that it was definitely a intentional thing. Yes. One of the craziest headlines, there were lots of crazy headlines, but this one was from the Daily News, and the headline read, "Not again, thousands of birds fall dead in Arkansas New Year's Eve." So, according to CNN, someone went into a large roost of blackbirds in Beebe, Arkansas, as the clock struck midnight Saturday and set off fireworks. So that's what they think happened the second time. And this contributed to the death of the birds. Now, it wasn't as many as the last time, and, but it was the same thing. The birds that fell all over the place. They were otherwise healthy birds, and about 200, I think, died. So not as many as before. Yeah. And see, now that's awful. I mean, it's one thing to do that and this happened accidentally. It's quite another to go in there
to
cause the deaths of these animals. I mean, that is absolutely insane.
It's malicious.
That is malicious. Yeah. And so again, whether it was the same person, different person, whatever, I guess they got what they wanted. It made international news again, because that is bizarre that in the same town, they had a they had blackbirds raining from the sky. And
thousands.
Thousands the first time, and then 200 the second time. Yeah. So long story short, here we are 13 years later, and now Beebe has kind of embraced this incident, and they now have what's called the Fallen Blackbird Festival and 5K Run. And they do it.
I didn't know
they
this.
do. Yes. And I wanted to go this year, but that's the week I'll be in El Salvador and Guatemala, so I can't go. But it's a really cool festival. They make the coolest t-shirts. I'm always wanting to get one, but I never can order one in time. They're always gone by the time I think to order one, because they have the cutest t-shirts with the blackbirds on them and all that. So there is always a 5K run. There are festival activities, food trucks, a kids zone, live music, vendors. It's a really cool thing.
So question. So normally when there's like a 5K, it is like a fundraiser. So is this a fundraising event?
Probably. I think it's for the city of Beebe, probably. Parks and Rec, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So then I wanted to talk about some other significant bird falls that have happened recently. There actually was one last October in Chicago, Illinois. And it killed 1,000 migrating birds, which is the highest number on record for that area. During the night of October 4th into October 5th, 2023, the birds died after colliding into the McCormick Place Lakeside Center during the height of their annual fall migration. And they said with this, it was weather patterns that played a role. Also, in 2020, they had a huge bird fall in Philadelphia. And, people were saying during this particular one that it was very eerie, and it was reminiscent of the Alfred Hitchcock film that, that we were about to talk about, The Birds. Yes. So, but then there was another one in Mexico, and I think this hasn't been too long ago. You can get on YouTube and you can see these bird falls because everyone has cameras now. Everyone has cameras at their houses and at their businesses. So these things are being recorded and you can watch them on YouTube. Now, like I said, it is morbid. I mean, this is a very morbid thing to look at, but it's crazy to watch these birds rain down like that in such a big, in such a large number, because they all fall at the same time sometimes.
Yeah, that would be terrible. And really, I mean, if you think about it, even how during a certain season, I don't know about in other parts of the country, but we have those, those green grasshoppers that get on all the buildings when it gets warm. Ugh.
Talk about religious plagues. Yes.
Ugh, it's just awful. And they're just jumping and falling. But even those, or even just those June bugs when they fall from like a light, like if you're at the stadium, that just sounds disgusting. But can you imagine a bunch of huge blackbirds? I mean, these birds are how big? I mean, maybe like a pound or two. I mean, birds don't weigh very much, but still, they're dead weight if they're falling from the sky.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. This all reminds me of that one movie we saw like 20 years ago with Hilary Swank. What was that called? Where it was like all the plagues of the Bible. The Reaping. Do you remember that?
Oh,
we went
The
to
Reaping.
see that. Yes. We saw that on opening night like 20 years ago, whenever. That was a really good movie, but there was a gigantic fish kill in that. And that one was, I think that one was filmed in Louisiana. But,
I believe so. The bird, we talk about Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, but also remember we went to see the new Omen movie, and so I was watching some of the Omen sequels, and there is a very disturbing kill scene, and I think it was the number
2, when she's running down the road in the red dress.
Yes, it was very disturbing.
Yes.
So people, if you like The Birds, you can watch the Omen Part 2.
Yes,
I think it's like
crazy.
Damien Returns or something.
With some birds.
With some birds, yes. It's creepy. One of Elle's little friends, we went to the zoo, the Memphis Zoo several years ago, and how they have the atrium or whatever with all the birds in it. She would not go in.
Some people have a fear
terrified
of
of birds.
Yes, and there's a name for that. There are some people that do have a legit terror, feeling. Yeah, I have a legit, terror of certain bugs. Yeah, and
I have arachnophobia big time.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I can't do spiders.
But the movie's excellent.
Yeah.
The movie's excellent.
Yes. Okay, so real quick before we get into the last thing, I wanted to talk about the blackbird symbolism. Because, while I'm giving you all these scientific explanations...
Ornithopia. No.
I knew it was something like that.
Ornithophobia.
Yes.
I don't know.
So,
there you go.
I gave you all the scientific reasonings behind the blackbird fall, but there were still other people that said, hey, no, this is totally a sign from above, or this is totally a symbol of something. So I found some things online about what blackbirds truly mean and things like that. So blackbird symbolism is very, very old, and it's associated with lots of different cultures. Some cultures see them as guides, messengers trying to tell us something. So maybe they were trying to tell us something when they were raining down a Beebe. Also, some people see them as symbols of magic and shapeshifters. The birds represent one authentic voice and even serve as tricksters. So very interesting. So in
Heckle and Jekyll were tricksters. I'll tell you that.
I thought you said they were crows.
They were crows, but they were tricksters.
Okay, so in many ancient cultures, such as Egypt and Japan, blackbirds were considered, or blackbirds symbolized life cycles, like life, death, rebirth, regeneration, all of that stuff. So also in Native American tribes, some of them, there were various interpretations of the bird. And one of those, among the Plains Indians, the blackbird was a servant of the corn mother. If blackbirds ate the crops, then the tribe had done something to displease the deity. However, among the Hopi and Cherokee, they were seen as guides and connections to the underworld. Yeah. On another note, Christianity, to them, the blackbird represents negative things such as temptation and carnal pleasure. Yeah. And then in some verses, the blackbird was said to be a devil in disguise that tempted people. So, yeah, very interesting stuff.
I think, you had, one of our recent episodes, you had plugged the book. It was the Canaan Cemetery. You plugged that book.
Gone to the Grave.
Gone to the Grave. And so I did start reading it.
By Abby Burnett.
I did start reading it, and it did discuss how the blackbirds were an omen of death. And especially in the early or late 1800s ish area. So, which of course, I just lost my train of thought. I don't know.
No, but I'll pick it up because I think that I'm a little bit scared of like flocks of blackbirds. Like if you see them like in somebody's yard, or you just see a bunch of them together, just like being all ominous and scary. Yeah, I mean, I get scared just looking at them sometimes. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a sign. I don't know of what. Yeah.
I mean, as much as I've said, it's like I have seen the birds, and it's disturbing, but I've never when I see like a bunch of blackbirds, I'm like, oh, it's just a bunch of blackbirds. I don't feel anything.
I have total like vibes
anxiety
from it, and no, just vibes. I'm like, totally negative vibes from a big flock of blackbirds, especially if they're like in one yard, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's creepy. Yeah,
we used to get several at our old house, and they would hang out in the yard. There's something. I think they were being fed though.
Yeah, that could possibly be
and
it.
People in our neighborhood were definitely putting feed out for the deer, and I think that they were hanging out there too. But anyway, so this is very interesting. Go.
So the last thing I want to talk about is the movie The Birds, because I don't think I'll have another segue to talk about this movie again unless there's another bird fall in Arkansas, which who knows. But The Birds is one of my favorite movies, and so I thought we'll just kind of talk about it for a second, because a lot of people made references to it during this Beebe bird fall. There was a lot of jokes that kind of were about the whole Alfred Hitchcock, directed movie, whatever. So let's look at The Birds. So as far as ratings and things like that, it's PG-13. It was made in 1963. It's an hour and 59 minutes. So it's a pretty long movie.
That's almost 2 hours.
That's long. So as far as Rotten Tomatoes, it got a 94% on the tomato meter, and then an 83% on the audience score. So if you know anything about Rotten Tomatoes, you know this is a pretty good score. This is a good score. It still holds up. And of course, like I said, it was released in 1963, directed by Alfred Hitchcock, and centers around a very small Northern California coastal town that is attacked and then rendered helpless by a massive flock of angry birds. Now, not Angry Birds, the video game, but just aggressive, angry birds. So the film stars a very young Tippi Hedren, who is the mother of Melanie Griffith and the grandmother of, that one actress. What's her name?
Dakota
Johnson. Yes. So Tippi Hedren is in this movie, and she does a really good job, and she's so pretty. I love her little green suit. It's the best. It's like one of my favorite parts of the movie. But I will tell you, visually, this movie is stunning. This is a great movie. Another person that is in the movie is Rod Taylor, and he is a lawyer who is from this small town, which is called Bodega Bay, and also
Bodega Bay,
yes. But also, there's another star in there. Oh goodness, her name is escaping me. Suzanne Flechette. Yes, she was in the Bob Newhart show. Yes. And she's really good in that. She plays the teacher that's also in love with the lawyer, because like Melanie Daniels is the main character played by Tippi Hedren. She's in love with Rod Taylor, but Suzanne Flechette is in love with Rod Taylor. Rod Taylor's mother's in love with him. No, I'm just kidding. Jessica Tandy. She's not in love with him, but she's weird. She's like one of those.
She's weird.
Yeah, she's like one of those weird moms that,
I didn't even realize that was Jessica Tandy.
It is, and she's so pretty in that. She's psychotic in that movie, but she's so pretty. Yeah.
She's a pretty. I remember her. Isn't she the same one that was in Fried Green Tomatoes?
Fried Green Tomatoes.
She's so old
Driving
in that
Miss
one, but
Daisy.
She's
all the
so
things.
pretty there, even as an older woman, like super old.
Yes. Well,
super old, not just regular old, like us. We're old, but she was super old.
So, The Birds is actually based on a book, which I did not know that, but it is based on a book, and it's an older book, of course. And Hitchcock used this book to write this screenplay, and he also... 2 other books by the same author were made into movies. I'm not sure which ones because I didn't read that far, but I'm going to because I loved.
Didn't read that far.
No, I didn't read that far. I got places to be, man. But some really interesting stuff that I got from Collider. Collider said The Birds was almost as terrifying to make as the movie was itself. There was not only the mechanical birds, but there was also real birds that were attacking the cast and the crew.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So they used over 25,000 live birds while filming. Ooh. So it was difficult to catch them, wrestle them around. I mean, it was horrible. And they used crows and ravens and things like that. They used seagulls, and the seagulls were just rude. I mean, I was reading all this about, serious. Yes.
They were jerks.
Yes. One of the crew members said that the seagulls would deliberately go for the eyes and would bite everybody at least 3 times. And, according to, now this is Hollywood legend. According to Hollywood legend, Tippi Hedren was just beat all to heck during this movie, and it was a horrible experience for her, and she does write about it in her autobiography. Now, yes, and also this is something I didn't know till I read it today. The birds were also drugged, and they spread lice among the crew.
Ew.
Yes.
Okay, so they were drugged with what? Did it say what they were drugged with?
Mixed with whiskey.
Okay.
So they were drunk birds. Now, this is according to Rod Taylor.
Oh, goodness. Rod Taylor.
Yes. So these lice-ridden birds were drunk. Yes.
Allegedly. According to Rod Taylor.
Yes. So you know, and this is, and I've read things about the birds here and there because I love this movie, and I've read this before too. Tippi Hedren said in her memoir that Cary Grant came to visit her on the set one day and told her, "You're the bravest woman I've ever seen." Because some of those scenes, like when she's in the attic especially, and being attacked, that was real fear. She was not acting. That was real. That was real stuff right there. Yeah. So, I mean, what the terror you see on people's faces in the birds, that's real.
Yeah. The things that they did in 1963, my little question is, were any of these birds hurt, and did they sue?
I don't know.
I guarantee you probably couldn't use real birds now.
Yeah. You couldn't. You definitely
whatever they
couldn't,
did.
You definitely couldn't get them drunk. So I don't think that would happen. So
yeah.
The interesting thing about the birds is some of the biggest names in horror today all say that was a huge influence on their careers, like Eli Roth and Guillermo del Toro, John Carpenter. Even they all say that this was, you know, one of their favorite movies and made a huge impact on what they created in the 80s, 90s, and today. So
we can attest that to one of Eli Roth's movies, because remember we went to see Thanksgiving.
Ugh. Well, there wasn't any crazy birds in that one.
No, but it was disgusting. And it was the same one that did Saw, which I did not realize that going into Thanksgiving. I think you had told me it was like a Blumhouse. I was like, oh, okay. And no, you were a liar. Cat.
Well, I thought
a liar bird.
You were a liar bird. I thought it was a Blumhouse, which, if you don't know what that is, that's a certain company production company of movies, and most usually for horror, but other things too. But most usually, if it's a Blumhouse movie, I really like it, and I mistakenly thought that this was a Blumhouse film. Oh, but no, it was the same guy that brought you Saw.
Yeah, and no offense, I'm not really interested in that Saw friend. I mean, I've seen the first Saw. Maybe I don't know if I've watched any after that, but they're just gory. They're just a little much.
We were together when we watched the first Saw. We wouldn't.
Yes. Yeah. Or if it's Rob Zombie, I'm sorry. I'm not watching that either.
Maybe we're just getting old, but we were young when we went to see Saw. I mean, we were barely out of college.
I just love the John Carpenter effect, to where it's like you don't even have to have. He didn't even have blood in the Halloween movie.
Yeah,
there wasn't any blood if you think back to it, but it was so scary. It was so scary.
And that's funny you say that, because when I was reading about the birds, someone did say that there's very little action till the very end. And so it's all a build-up and a lead-up. So, so it's not that gory.
But really Hitchcock he was just so good at that build-up and the suspense. I mean, Psycho and
that's true.
That's all of it.
That was the same recipe for the Psycho movie, too. So
Yes.
Okay. So that's it. That's all I have about Falling Blackbirds and Beebe, Arkansas. So
it's interesting.
It is. It is very interesting.
And if anyone has any more input or stories, or if you were the one that may or may not have done some huge fireworks that night, let us know. Go ahead and throw your uncles, brothers, cousins under the bus.
Yes.
It'll be okay.
It'll be okay. Yes. Okay, well, that's it. That's all we have today.
We're going to say a couple seconds of business.
I thought you were going to say we're going to say a prayer, and I was starting to bow my head. Okay.
We did, earlier, before we started for the 7th time, we were like, prayers needed. Okay. So just some business. Again, we did post about our P.O. Box. So our P.O. Box is 120. Searcy, Arkansas 72145. If you send us, drop us anything, you will get a decal, and you will get a signed note from me and Amber. So just FYI. And please continue. Like, our Facebook is just blowing up, and we're so excited every time we turn around. So we're on Facebook, Instagram. You can email us, and we just have a lot of new business coming your way soon, and we love you all. So,
you know what I would like for them to send us postcards. I'd like them to send us postcards from all over Arkansas.
That would be awesome. Yes. Or if you're coming from one of the countries or all around America, just postcard from where you're coming from. That would be awesome. But P.O. Box 120, Searcy, Arkansas 72145.
Yes. Send us a postcard. Tell us you like us, whatever. So, or tell us you don't, whatever.
Or tell us what you don't like about us.
We get that.
Those will be fun. Have you ever, like those mean tweets? Who does that?
Yes. We need to
send us a line of mean tweets.
As soon as we get, because we haven't really gotten many of those, but as soon as we get a bunch of those, let's just have a whole episode dedicated to mean messages and emails.
Yes. We'll call it Unexplained Hate. Arkansas.
No, I know it's not funny, but I just crack up laughing every time I watch those on Jimmy Kimmel.
And the one, I love it. It's funny.
I love Jennifer Aniston, and she was reading one, and she said Jennifer Aniston is what happens when a bag of flour gets its big break.
Yes, I do remember that one.
Bless her heart. I love her. She's one of my favorut people. So, but
I like Emma Stone's too. I don't know if you remember that one. Emma Stone's. She's like, Emma Stone looks like she smells like cat pee or something like that. It's
wow.
And when I was and I like Emma Stone, her work is really well. But you know what she does?
An Oscar winner.
Does kind of look like she smells like cat. Like it's just I mean, that mean tweet kind of fit. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh, there are so many funny ones. They're reading them themselves, so they're laughing about it too.
Mm-hmm. So they have a sense of humor, but you have to laugh. So.
And so do we.
It's funny.
The worst hate mail. We got hate mail. Somebody said the content is top notch, but they keep saying and they keep talking about they keep chattering.
The banter, yes.
The banter.
I'm like, some people come here straight for the banter. And I will say, my brother was like, in which he doesn't really podcast ever, he was like, the banner. So some people don't like the banner. Some people come for the banner. It's personal preference.
Yeah, so that's why we kind of moved the banter to the end. Because if we do too much at the front, most of it. So if we do too much at the front,
sprinkle and end.
Yeah,
sprinkle and
true.
end.
Yes.
So there.
Okay. So that's it. That's all we have. And this has been a long night. We started all this at 6:15 and now it's 8:30. So So hopefully I can get this done and uploaded by 9 o'clock. So because that's what time I said on the Facebook. So
yes.
All right, that's it on the Facebook. All right, have a great night, and we will talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Love ya. Bye.